Happy holidays. Hope you had a chance to get some of the good food there. If you haven't, help yourself before the speaker starts. Welcome to Silicon Valley Health Institute, formerly known as Smart Life Forum. I'm Robert Minke-Miller. I'm one of your board of directors here. Been in the field for 25 years as a nutritionist and had a couple incredible mentors, but mostly staying on the entrepreneurial side. So yeah, not practicing myself. Any first-time visitors here tonight? Fantastic. Welcome. Glad to have you. We are a membership-driven organization, so we're a 501c3, driven by your donations. We do $60 a year. We're here once a month, so that's $5 a meeting or $10 at the door. So thanks for your donations and support. We're all volunteers here, so everything helps us to help you more with your health. Cell phones, silence your cell phones. I'm sure we'll have more information on that topic tonight. Beverly might suggest that you turn it off. Hold on for questions, Anna. It's okay. So if you miss, take an emergency call as well. Please take it outside the door so we can keep our speaker clear and not have any interruptions. The meeting is streaming live, so if you can't join us sometime, go to the website and you can join us online, or if you're visiting and you're living in Texas or some other state in the union there, you can always see us online or even around the world as well. Some logistics. The restrooms are down the hall here. Take a left, and they're about 100 yards down on the right. So we'll have a break. It's a little different format tonight because we don't have one speaker, and we have the potluck going. So a little bit different schedule, but we'll try and take a break at some point to give you a little bit of time for a restroom break. Okay, let's see. Does anybody have any announcements they'd like to make at all? Anything over the holidays? Our meetings are every third Thursday of the month, and we should have, I'll tell you a little bit more about our upcoming meetings at the end of the meeting tonight. Okay, so we always start off with the forum, so we open it up to you guys. Any questions that you have at all? Just go ahead and raise your hand, and also let me bring you a mic so we can hear we're also filming it, so we want to be able to hear your questions and be able to get everything on the recording there. So does anybody have any questions at all regarding their health? Anything? Well, how about a question for you guys? It's the end of the year. What are you going to do next year for your health? And let's back up a little bit further than that. What is health? Anybody have any ideas of what health is? Is that something, Anna? Okay, here we go.
I'm Gabby. Health for me is vibrant, excited, exhilarated happiness.
So what actions are you taking next year to make sure that that happens? Give us all some good ideas.
I continue my meditation practices, do some cardio. I love hiking in nature. I'm mostly vegan. Follow my body's guidance, what's good for me. Leave out what's not so good for me. Less chocolate.
Some chocolate's good, though. It just depends on how it's made, right? The darker, the better. Yeah, there you go. Okay, anybody come up with any questions that they might have? Okay.
what is the effect of posture on health?
I think it's a huge effect. Steve, you have anything you want to comment on that? I'll have something to say too on that.
As a matter of fact, I've been participating in a group up in San Francisco based on a four energies view, that people come in four different types. And what's fascinating is that the types are not only just defined by psychological traits and mental attitudes and connections to emotions or not, inwardly focused, outwardly focused and all that, but they're also defined based on posture. There's this effect that happens, and so the system was described in terms of the way the hips are tilted and the way the spine curves and the head is held and the shoulders. And I was asking the question, 3 days ago, what's going on with foot pressure versus heel versus toe and pronation, under and over pronation and slanted from the side on the posture of parts further up in the body. And so a lot of people have described this kind of thing to me in various conversations with practitioners in the past, that subtle issues of how you tighten certain muscle groups or overcompensate in other muscle groups can dramatically affect your posture. And even there are therapies, I think, like Feldenkrais, for example, where by making your body more aware of certain kinds of tensions, that it then you can then supposedly correct those kinds of things. So the idea that physical posture is in some way tightly constrained to mental properties and emotional attitudes and all, tells me that there's some really fundamentally deep connection, not only between the body and the brain and the mind, but that's set by developmental parameters that take place in utero throughout the rest of our lives.
So, huge effect. So I had two uncles who were chiropractors growing up, and so I started kind of with chiropractors in my life. About the year 2000, I started having chronic hip pain, and about 7 years of going to chiropractors. 3 months I would, get relief, and then 6 months I'd be back at the chiropractor again, and 3 months, and off and on. So I said, well, something's not working here. I still do chiropractic. I love chiropractic, but I first learned about a guy named Pete Egoscue, and he teaches bilateral function, and that's really a key thing for me, because you can have hips that are misaligned, and then your shoulders are misaligned, so you're getting some impingement on the spine. So I went to his clinic and learned some of the exercises. And then I also ran into a lady named Jean Couch here in Palo Alto, and she teaches balance, how we stand, how we sit, how we sleep, and how we walk. And I went to her in 2007, and I probably stay in balance maybe about 20% of the time on a good day, and I have not had the need for a chiropractor since then. It's very profound information, but it's critical, because to me it's all about the nerves and good flow in the body, and pain happens when we don't have circulation in a particular area of the body. So I think it's really important.
I'd like to know who has experience with the far infrared versus the near infrared saunas, and what the near infrared is for versus the far infrared, what the pros and cons are.
I can answer that briefly. The far infrared is a heating effect. That you're basically raising body temperature and improving, for example, blood flow. The near infrared, though, is directly absorbed into the mitochondrial complexes. It's high enough energy that it actually is absorbed and utilized in a biological context. It's not just like waste heat that you get from far infrared. And also far infrared, if you get enough of it, you can heat your body up to the point that you start sweating. And you can get cleansing effects from, from sweating, and you can also get hyperthermic responses to overheating in terms of heat shock protein induction and stuff like that, and induction of antioxidants from the oxidative stress of overheating your body. But in terms of the near infrared, which is just below the red and the near infrared in the 600 to 800 frequency bands, there's actually a coupling of that radiation to the mitochondria, and that energizes the cells on a fundamental level that is, in my opinion, not just therapeutic. It's a necessary and essential aspect of health maintenance. As daylight, creatures, we sleep at night, and we have dark adaptation stress that happens at night because of the lack of near infrared and red light. And then when the sun comes up in the morning, we get this dose of red light. And humans are typically up at that time of the day if we're not living in houses and we're not staying up late at night and being under fluorescent light tubes and all those other kinds of things that we associate with modern civilization. And then if we don't get that kind of red light exposure in the morning, we're missing one of the key wake-up signals of the body that takes us from a kind of hibernation, a mild state of hibernation during sleep, into a higher energy state during the day. And then at the end of the day, when the sun goes down, we have that same signal that where we go back to red light again, that prepare us, that synchronize us to the adaptation to darkness that's going to take place at night. And that brackets our cortisol. So cortisol is one of our stress hormones, and it's our primary defense against dark adaptation, the stress of dark adaptation. So by having that before bed light exposure in the red, in infrared, and the early morning exposure in infrared, we're bracketing our cortisol and keeping it from running our lives during the daylight times when we're normally highly functional. So once we've lost that, we end up dealing with a level of chronic stress from cortisol that can get out of hand.
I know detoxification's just huge. I know Raymond Francis, my mentor, he highly recommends the far infrared saunas with the right frequencies for detox. And I mean, it's just critical these days because we're living in such a polluted world. So
at the other end of the temperature spectrum, does anyone have any information on health benefits of brief periods of intense cold? I understand that there's a new business in Town and Country that puts you in a chamber for 3 minutes. And I forget what, I want to say minus 150 degrees, but that sounds pretty intense. Does anyone know anything about this?
I know Dave Asprey, our chairman, has been doing some of those types of therapies, and I think it's an anti-inflammatory type of thing, and I know like pro athletes and all are using the cold therapy as well. So is it a healing? Do you have?
It's the alternation of the heat and the cold. I'm not sure that's totally relevant to your question, but I have experienced and learned that when you alternate between high heat and cold, you actually dilate and contract the capillaries in a way that's further cleansing. So,
I can add to that. Yeah, this is an ancient practice. Mark Twain actually wrote about it more than 100 years ago. His mother used to take all of the kids out in the middle of the winter when it was snowing out there and dump a bucket of water on them when they were naked. And then she would take sheets and blankets and roll them up like, sushi. And within 15 minutes, they'd be overheating and perspiring profusely. And so that, I think, is one of the benefits that you get from extremes of cold is that the body responds in a thermal mechanism to warm you back up again, and that stimulates your energy production systems and breaks any kind of metabolic entrainment that you might have. And so there's all kinds of people out there who practice this kind of thing. How many of you heard of Swedes who go and Finns who go rolling in the snow directly out of their saunas? I used to do this in college when we had a 200-degree dry sauna, and I would go directly from that to a swimming pool at, I think it was 69 degrees of water. And there's cold dunks that they have next to hot tubs. So this is the Polar Bear Club, people who go swimming in the middle of the winter under ice and stuff like that, in water that's got ice on it. I wouldn't do it now, but at one point when I was young and stupid, I jumped into a swimming pool that had just been filled up with melted snow water and was probably about 35 degrees and actually swam across the pool. But I levitated out of the pool at the other end. But that's a level of extreme that I wouldn't do now because I would be concerned about, extremes of blood pressure and strokes and stuff like that. But that idea of just exposing yourself to thermal challenges, hot and cold, as a way of expanding your adaptive capacity, of exercising. Periodically you lift weights, periodically you run fast, get your heart rate up. All of those things promote adaptive capacity, and they're all on that list of, good health practices, as long as you do it with enough moderation not to, push your system too hard too fast.
One second.
I had a question. If anyone's had any experience using the hemp oil where the psychoactive aspects are taken out and it's just used for medicinal purposes?
Our resident brain expert, Steve, do you have comments? Not specifically? Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the psychoactive side of things and the compounds that promote anandamide receptors and stuff like that. So dealing with pain modulation and immune system triggers and stuff like that. So just the oil itself, I don't know much about that.
But I don't know enough. No. What I need to remember from Dr. T, he really doesn't like hemp oil. And I think the reason is that it's also too quickly rancid.
Yeah, there's a general problem with any kind of oil that is high in polyunsaturates. That the more polyunsaturated the oil is, the bigger a burden it places on your antioxidant defense system. And if you lose control of the oxidation of the oil and it becomes peroxidized, the more polyunsaturated it is, the deeper the peroxide effect lasts and the more damage it does to your genes and to your immune system. And the more it wrinkles your skin.
Did you have a comment or a question?
I had a comment, and it's sort of relevant. I didn't quite get the question because I didn't understand that it was focused only on hemp oil. But I think it was KPFA just had a fundraiser where they were asking for contributions, and the item that you would receive was a new book delineating all the different kinds of cannabinoids that you could take for various ailments, and the amount that you would take and when you would take it and in what combination. It sounded like something that anyone who's serious about that would have to have. And there's a couple of new books out that are like heavy encyclopedias on the topic, but I don't remember the exact title.
The reason I asked the question is because there's a world expert in mercury detoxification who has recently come out with a product using the liposomal delivery system for this hemp oil. I think it's, you guys might correct me, is it CBT or CBD? It's CBD oil, and I think there are some issues like you're saying, and there's something about this liposomal delivery system that seems to address some of that. And there are some people that just swear that this has just, that has been the deal break, that, you know, that's just changed the quality of their life with different kinds of chronic health issues they're dealing with. And so that's the reason I asked the question.
Do you have a quick statement, Steve? Move on.
They may promote that oil as non-psychoactive, but it's not true. It is psychoactive. A lot of the cannabinoids alter the activity at anandamide receptors in the brain, which has a direct effect on your perception of pain, your circadian rhythm, how you sleep, and how you're awake. Probably also has effects, broad spectrum effects on the immune system, that may play into roles relating to cancer and autoimmune disease as well. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it may not produce the high, but it is producing a psychoactive effect that is perceptive, and that's one of the reasons that, you know, people may not, you know, hallucinate on it. They may not have, you know, they may not get the munchies or other kinds of things that may be involved with the more psychedelic compounds that are found in marijuana. But the cannabinols and CBD are psychoactive and medically active. They're, you know, so the fact that the government says that they have no medical use is entirely fictitious. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, on that list of psychoactive, you know, effects, I would consider things like joy and happiness. And for me, you know, in terms of defining what, you know, high-level psychic phenomena are, would be relating to the idea of health. It would be creativity and curiosity.
Okay. Actually, you know, there's a lot along those lines, so maybe we'll find a speaker next year that might be a good person to bring in and talk along that subject. So, okay, real quick, we need to kind of move on a little bit here. So Michael Bedar is here. He's worked with Gabriel Cousins and has written a new book, so he has a quick announcement here.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Robert. Okay, thank you, Robert. And I'm going to put these books here. All right. Hi. I'm excited. I'm here speaking. It feels good. I really wish you all that excited, vibrant happiness that you talked about for the new year. I am glad to be here, and I wish that I could convey to you what my new book is about. So I have 10 minutes, or less, actually 7 or less, and I usually speak about this book for about an hour. So here we go, but it's really good. Feel free to take pictures. I'm a new author. It's great to be here at SVHI. I'd like to get one of your pictures. So, I did a research thesis on 200 people who had recently or long in the past been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. That was like the starting point of the thesis. And I wanted to know what factors of their beliefs, attitudes, and backgrounds led to different outcomes. Like, it seems like we all live in the same country, but 2 people diagnosed, often one just takes pills for the rest of their life, and one gets curious about nutrition and health and does something. So I asked all these questions about their attitudinal factors, and then questions about their decisions and their outcomes. And I was really interested in what made the people choose in the healthy direction, the truly deeper health direction. So I got some good results, and then I thought I could either publish it, and a few academics would read it and think that was interesting, or I could actually focus on the positive outcomes and then use like a developing talent I had to like composite that into a story, into a narrative, or even I called it a parable. And I want to give credit to a person named Mike Chait, who also has written books that take data and make it into fiction. he gave me the start, and I really ran with it. So along the way with this book, the characters started becoming very real to me. They're kind of composites of my 200 people that I received their surveys, plus people that I've coached, and I used to work at the Tree of Life Center with Dr. Cousins, and I saw hundreds of people come in and out, and I became a facilitator of those people. I also helped create the film Simply Raw, which followed 6 people with type 2 or type 1 diabetes, insulin dependent, and many of them got off of that. So novels reach a new audience. People like to flip the pages, and when you get really engrossed, when you get extremely like, what's going to happen next? Like your excitement raises. You start getting curious in a way that just a paper wouldn't quite do for you. Even a documentary doesn't quite do it if you love to read. I talked to Gabby earlier. She loves stories. So even that you're here, I don't take it lightly. That you're listening to me and you're taking it like, oh, maybe a story could be a bonus for me in this new year, or for someone I know in this new year. Raise your hand if you know someone or yourself might want to be healthier in the new year, and use a novel in that way to help you get there. So great. And so that's what I set myself out to do over the last 8 years, actually. The thesis started in 2007, completed it in 2012, and I've been writing and editing the book since then. It just came out. So I really appreciate Susan for inviting me to speak here. I'm happy to take questions. I'm happy to autograph the book for you at the end of the night. Gosh, there's so much I could say. The title is Sweet Healing, A Whole Health Journey. It's available on both ebook and paperback, and from the website, readsweethealing.com. For the heck of it, I got naturalnovel.com and healthynovel.com. They're all there. So, yeah. Any questions from what I said so far? Okay, yeah. I mean, I even could read you a chapter, or even, I have some really good selections. In summary, so Jean and Hope Curtin are on the brink of their retirement. They imagine themselves like watching their son grow up and have grandkids, and like just being retired in the suburbs after long lives of their backgrounds were electrician on his part and wildlife biologist on her part. They actually have a lot of wisdom they don't know about. So when Jean, I put the cards on the table of the plot because it's about the journey. So when Jean finds out that he has type 2 diabetes in a very dramatic and traumatic way, he loses some parts of his body. Suddenly, that future is really called into question, and he's in despair. But a mysterious neighbor comes out and starts to just interact with him on a very human level as a good neighbor. But he turns out to be the hidden mentor who has gone through this himself, and he reveals himself gradually to be able to teach him things about nutrition. There's 7 foundations of health practices that the book leads to. Kind of like we were talking earlier, the ways to be happy and healthy. And they include fellow to service human beings, the food, water, air quality for your life force, naturalistic hygiene and protection, including the temperature variations would land in the protection area, a quiet mind, meditation, anandamides, energetics, cultivating joy, and physical and mental exercise. So those are, and there's mysteries that, where do they find these ancient stones that seem to crop up in their life? And these stones are like the physical embodiments of these discoveries that they make. These stones just kind of come out as they discover things. So anyway, Jean's name represents the potential of our genes, really, and Hope, his wife, represents what we can actually hope for. So everything actually has quite a lot of, it really types together well. All the reviews actually are entirely excited about the book. So, other question? Yeah. Right. The question, I'll repeat it. Oh, and one more minute. Okay, the question is, what were the primary differences in my thesis between people that chose the pharmaceutical path versus the natural health path? And these attitudinal factors were the emotional honesty to be real with where they're at, not even related to health or food. But if you can, I asked questions that pointed to that capacity, like, when this happens to you, how do you react? And if you could actually be with it, if you could be with, I'm in despair, or be with, I just don't know, or I'm afraid I'll never change. Like, being with that led to the ability to then go somewhere. And the other point was, the other factor was emotional honesty and a sense of agency in your life. Not just with health either, but a sense of I can do something, like I have some sort of agency and causal power in my life. My voice is going to stop me in the minute that I have. So thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, Michael.